Okay, so here we are, No1 Mk3 barrel, and we're going to look at a couple of different things that you can inspect while your rifle is assembled. Back to the handguards. The handguards, excepting the rear one, the front handguard in particular needs to be a flat fit all the way along the forend, especially between these 2 points, especially in here. That needs to be a flat fit that you cannot get a feeler gauge into. Put a flat piece of fine sandpaper down on a table, grit side up, run the guard backwards and forwards until everything flattens out. And do it gradually, it'll come off quickly, but take your time. Now, two important things, believe it or not. The barrel on the No1 Mk3 is alternately suspended and floated in different places. Essentially, the forward section, treat this as though this is fully floating from the rear sight all the way to the muzzle. Now, two things to do with your handguard. If you look carefully at your handguard, you'll notice that the rear one will contact the rear sight base quite closely, and your front one is a wider gap. That's deliberate. That is because they do not want this front one vibrating against the barrel or anything that's part of the barrel. Additionally, it's carefully made with a gap here between the rear guard and the front one, and that gap needs to be clearly visible. You must be able to get a feeler gauge in there. It could be quite fine, it could be 5/1000th of an inch, but it must be there, and it must be reliably there so that when you're shooting it doesn't change. Now, this one is contacting on this side of the sight base, and the way to fix that is to squeeze the handguard to this side of the rifle. And the way you do that is you cut paper strips again, like this, or thin cardboard, and they go underneath the barrel band in this portion, just on one side. And as you tighten the band up, the extra thickness on this side will displace the guard away from where it's making contact. That's a very good thing to know. Almost nobody remembers this these days. That is something that you have to have right. Now, No1 Mk3s have this wonderful nose cap, absolutely unique, very special. As you assemble it, it must assemble on the rifle smoothly and without high spots that put pressure on the rifle, so that as you put it into the last little moments, the gaps around here have to all be just about the same. So as it snicks up, it does so evenly all the way around the forend, just so that nothing is contacting first and squeezing the wood left or right, because those things will translate into inaccuracies. Now, on the very front, the up pressure on a No1 Mk3 is controlled by that spring and plunger, which is inside this part of the forend. That determines your correct up pressure. That makes things very simple for us. However, it's the only place where contact is taking place on the barrel is that plunger back here. So what we do not want is contact around the barrel, between the barrel and the nose cap. Now the gap from the factory here should be all the way around the barrel, between 2 and 4/1000th of an inch. Now you can get a thin piece of paper and trim it narrow like this. If you don't have a feeler gauge you want to trim up, that's what you're looking for. You're looking to create a very tiny gap around here. Now the alternate way to deal with this, a little bit controversial, it becomes one of those things that as a shooter you'd start to decide your own preferences. The other way to deal with it, this causes buzzy vibrations. It's a light contact against the nose cap as you pull the trigger. It's not a heavy vibration. The alternate way to deal with this is to make a circle of paper. Once again, the A4 paper. Cut a circle like this, and then wrap it around the barrel tip, and then assemble the nose cap over that, so that this gap here is fixed, so the barrel has no movement, so it's actually tight to the nose cap. Over the years, target shooters have done both. They've done everything from making sure this is fully floated to making sure this is fully attached. And it will be one of those things that's personal preference, what your rifle likes to shoot best with, yada yada, all those different things. It's common on target rifles to see this drilled out, this hole here, 1/8 larger than the barrel, and then sealed with a piece of foam to keep the dust and grit and seeds out. when you pull the trigger on one of these, the gas blast that rushes forward creates a bit of a vacuum behind here, picks up dust from the ground, and then as the vacuum subsides, it sucks it back inside the barrel, and that's how you end up with debris way up inside the barrel on a No. 1 Mk3. So if you do go for a bigger gap around the barrel, plug it with a very light and fluffy grade of sponge foam. You don't want thick rubber like hose or tube or anything like that, because that will absolutely negate the idea of a floating barrel. That will just it will make your barrel fixed to the nose cap again, which is what you're trying to avoid in that option. So that's it. A couple of things to think about there. No. 1 Mk3, one of the most sophisticated barrel setups there are on a combat rifle, and they do very well with it. Hasn't served them badly at all and became a very good target rifle. No. 1 Mk3s will shoot 2 to 4 inch circles at 100 yards. That's the factory standard. That's 2 inches, 4 inches. If you can shoot that at 100 yards, that's pretty satisfying shooting. If you can shoot that 2 inches, that's pretty darn nice. No. 1 Mk3s with a little bit of work will shoot 1 inch, or the size of a $1 coin. That's a really small circle and a fantastic achievement. Very, very good stuff to achieve with an Enfield, but absolutely doable.